Hi, I'm Mandy Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Sagittarius for April 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter, which makes you part of my VIP crew. And if you're interested in creating successful online business, that course of mine is enrolling now. So what do we have going on in April? We start out the month with just as much busyness as has been the energy of the previous couple of months. February and March have been very busy. March particularly very astrologically busy. And if you've been listening to my reports, you know that I had been advising if you're going to push things through, February and March would be more of an open window to do that than when we start getting into April. But the thing about April is that your desire to do things is going to be high as well, while the energies start going backwards. So you've got to respond to that. Fire signs in general, like Sag, you know I'm a Sag too, and I have a lot of Sag with Aries rising. So the more fire you have, the more difficult this is going to be to respond to the energy going backwards. So it doesn't mean that you do nothing at this time. It just means that you're more careful with what you do. And I'll give you more details about that. So the reason why I'm saying it's not the time to push things forward is because Mars is going to be in retrograde. Mars goes retrograde once every 2-ish years. If you want to see a whole lot about Mars retrograde, which I highly recommend you do, this reading is not complete unless you listen to the Mars retrograde video, because it has all kinds of stuff specific to the transit. You can search for that on my channel, and you can also see a corresponding blog on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, if you want to see it in a written version. But in any case, Mars rules your oomph. It's your get up and go. It's your zest for life. And when it's going backwards, you might have less of that. Or it might be moving against things that you're trying to push forward. So you have to understand the nature of this transit in order to master the transit and to maximize the transit. So Mars goes retrograde on April 17th through June 29th, but the shadow period started February 18th and runs through August 21st. So the dates, as you get closer on February 18th, even though Mars retrograde officially starts, the energy isn't very strong. It's very light. It gets stronger and stronger as we get closer to April 17th. And so really by the middle of March, getting towards the end of March, you're really starting to feel that Mars retrograde energy, which is part of, well, mostly why I advise if you're going to push things through, try to do it by like St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. Because after that, you'll start to get more and more entrenched in these Mars retrograde energies. Then once Mars is direct on June 29th, there's still a shadow period until August 21st. So it's like it takes a while for that to get back situated. The whole transit is like 6 or 7 months. So that's why I'm saying watch the video so you can understand more about the energy, because this is not just for April that this is going to be relevant. Okay. In general, you don't want to launch new things. You don't want to start new relationships. You don't want to do elective surgery. You don't want to initiate something, because it doesn't rule, or Mars rules initiation. And when it's backwards, it doesn't have its oomph. So if you can avoid, you know, getting deeper into relationship or starting a new relationship, that would be helpful. And because often the energy will lose steam and things might be different by the time it goes direct. So you want to be careful how much you engage in those situations. So Mercury also goes retrograde this month. It's like a double helping of retrogradeness. Mercury goes retrograde April 28th through May 21st. The shadow period for that starts April 2nd. So all of April is covered in Mercury retrograde. If you really have to push something through that you have not done in February or March, and you have to do it before Mars goes retrograde, do it before April 15th, definitely. If you have to buy new devices, things like that, it's not the best time to do it, because you're already starting to get in the Mercury and Mars retrograde energy. But I'm mentioning it because since Mercury rules devices for communication and transportation, and Mars rules metal, which rules all those things, the odds that problems with cars, problems with machinery, problems with devices, the odds that they're going to have problems are increased. So if you have to buy one of these things, try to do it before the official retrogrades, if you can help it. And if it's on the edge and you know you can't last for the whole retrograde cycle, then do it early in April and get the warranties and look at the fine print and all of that kind of stuff. I also have a separate Mercury retrograde video that I highly recommend you watch because it goes into all details that I'm not going to talk about, but will be relevant for the whole month and beyond. So for Sagittarius, there is a huge gathering of energy in the fifth house. The fifth house rules children, creativity, romance. It's also called the house of true love, hobbies, fun. So with all these planets getting in there like that, it's a really good time to spend time with your kids, or if you're wanting to make kids, do things that you would make kids. You know, it's that fifth house rules the whole process of falling in love, romance, conception, birth, child rearing. And that's true for all creative projects as well, not just actual human children, but also all of your babies. So if you're a person who doesn't have your own kids and your creative projects are your babies, this is going to be strongly highlighted for you. And if you have your own kids, you might find that your creativity is off the charts and you're really excited. So even though Mars is going to be in retrograde, don't let it interfere with your creation of things. Just don't launch those things. And that's what I was saying before, that Sagittarius are going to have to be more careful with this, because I know when I have an idea, I'm buying a domain name, I'm getting on all, I'm doing like pushing everything through fast if I can. And it's not the time to do that. It's the time to play with your creative ideas and to enjoy the creative expression, but just don't launch them or do anything official with them unless it's part of an ongoing thing that you've already launched. So if you, let's say you launched a website and it includes photography or some other creative outlet, or just the writing itself is the creative outlet. Let's say you launched it in good stars. Adding to that blog or that website is not going to be considered new launches. It's just going to be considered ongoing creative expression. And all of that is fine when Mars is in retrograde. There's a difference between launching and initiating and creating and having fun. And this is going to be a time where you have a lot of opportunities to have fun and do things that are creative and make you feel really happy. It might also mean that certain of your creations need some attention at that time, because there's just this big bundle of energy there and there's different planets involved, so it can bring in a lot of different potentials. Something else to look out for: if you're not trying to get pregnant or get someone pregnant, there is this long-term transit of Uranus, and this is especially true for early degree placements. So like November born up to December 1st people. It's strongest for you all, but the birthday grouping, or if you're watching for your rising sign, the early grouping is 0 to 9 degrees, and then the middle grouping is 10 degrees to 19 degrees. And that middle group is what's coming close with this Uranus energy. It brings surprises. When you have the element of surprise in your fifth house of children, it can bring surprises involving your children, and that can be for better or worse. But it very much, when I see that in someone's chart that I'm reading in a personal session, it's one of the first things I say: whoa, if you're not trying to have kids, you better be really careful, because that thing that just, there's a surprise and now here's a baby, you know? And that could be positive for you if you're trying to have a baby, and it seems like it's not going anywhere. Something could happen out of the blue. And I'm not talking about an immaculate conception. I'm talking about the baby could come, you know? So your fifth house is just blowing up with energy. And the fourth house is also blowing up with energy. The fourth house has your home, your family, your house, real estate, interior design, working from home, your family of origin, plus the family you live with, your roommates, anything having to do with home and family. So in April, you're still going to have all this strong energy around family. Early degree placements are going to have the new moon, besides all these other planets, in that fifth house, bringing new opportunities, new creative projects, things like that, or new energy towards them. And then the middle to later degree placements, so again, that's really like December born Sagittarius, or if you're looking for your rising sign, around 10 degrees through the rest of the degrees, you will more likely have this new energy in the house of home. So maybe something new, and see how this can join Uranus. Find out that you're pregnant, or the person you're with is pregnant, and that's the element of surprise in the kids, and then that's a new member to your home, new energy in the home. So there's multiple things going on here that can bring new energy into the home. And it doesn't have to be a human baby, like we said before. There's many other ways that can look. It could be a new roommate, it could be an in-law, it could be a relative. There's just a lot of energy focused in that area for you. Mars retrograde in general is a time when steam starts to cool off. So if you have steam and you're moving forward and you're zesty and then it kind of goes backwards. I feel like this is a really positive thing for people who are very driven, especially fire signs. I know for myself, when Mars goes into retrograde, as long as I obey some rules, which I go more into in the Mars retrograde and I'll highlight them here, as long as I obey certain rules, then Mars retrograde can be quite pleasant because I get a break from myself and my full throttleness of just being on 150% all the time. You might find that you get a break and that you turn out to be comfortably productive instead of just like crazy all over the place. Sag energy in general can be productive only by nature of how much it does. Sag energy in general is not super efficient with the use of energy because it goes in a circle. So I know how I do it, and I'm sure how you do it, very likely, unless you have factors in your chart that go against this. I very rarely will sit down and do like a project like all dishes or clean a whole room or something all at once. I'm not wired that way. I will freak out. I have to do 2 dishes and then go and put a little laundry in and then go and fold 2 things that are dry and, do 2 things on my desk or on my list of things to do and then go around, get back to the dishes and then do this like circle thing. And people that are not wired that way watch that and they're exhausted and they're like, for the love of God, woman, you need to sit down. You need to stay more still or something. But energy doesn't work that way through us. However, with that being said, when Mars is in retrograde, we have an amazing opportunity to get more efficient with our energy. And since we're not that efficient with our energy by nature of how it moves through us, this is a really big opportunity for us. So I'm not saying that, the leopard's going to change its spots, because it's not going to change its spots. But we can definitely become more smart with our energy rather than working harder. And that is what Mars retrograde wants. And it will show you this by having the experience of you like banging your head up against a wall trying to do all these things and them not working out, and then you asking the question, what do I really have to do? And then break that list down. Do you really have to do the things you really have to do? And then all this energy in your 5th house is saying, what do you want to do? Right? So this is a really fun time for Sagittarius, I think, because if you can get past that compulsion to force fire, in a very fiery manner, force things forward even when they're not supposed to be going forward. And you can just follow the signs of the universe and really be in tune to what the universe wants you to do, what the best thing is to do, then you can really go to the next level of using your energy more efficiently. It also would be helpful for you to learn how to delegate. And again, Sages often are a one-woman or a one-man show a lot of the times because we have so much energy, we have so many ideas that we just kind of go run around with all of them. But when Mars is in retrograde, it's bringing up this topic of how we can use our energy better. So that makes us ask the question, are there certain things I'm doing that I don't really need to be doing those things, which leaves me more time for my creative outlets, which might turn out being related to your work and your prosperity and your happiness in other areas of your life. This is a big question that gets even bigger when you think about how it's applied. If you can make money from your creativity, which you absolutely can if you're not already, and for Sagittarius especially, we're into creative solutions. We ride around on our little cloud. That's how I feel like I'm like on my belly on a fluffy cloud, peering down at everything and saying, wow, I can see the bigger picture there. So it's easier for me to see solutions because I'm looking from a different perspective. I'm not in the whatever the problem is as much. I'm looking over top of it. So using your creativity to be linked to helping people and bringing income in is a very positive thing for Sagittarius. So you can get more of this into motion even while Mars is retrograde by working with your own energy field and how you use your energy. One of the most important days of the year is going to happen in April. April 7th is the new moon in Aries. I think this is one of the most important days of the year because it's one of the 2 times in the year that is best to do a vision board. Sagittarius have big ideas and we're not afraid to dream big for the most part. And that's big plus for us. We don't have to finagle at all, or, you know, just like we see the bigger picture, and very often we can talk about the big dreams. Vision boards help to bring those big dreams into reality. And with Saturn in our sign, it's systematically going through and deepening this process of being efficient with our energy, but also what we have to do every day to bring the big dreams into fruition. So when the new moon is in Aries, that's one of the 2 times of the year that's best to make a vision board, the other being your birthday. So whether you're making a vision board online, I hear that you can do this, I've never done it, where you take pictures and, you know, phrases and things and put them on your board, or you can make an actual board that is like a piece of cardboard that has clippings of essences, phrases, energies that you want to bring in the next year. April 7th, the new moon in Aries is one of the best days of the year to do that. So definitely take advantage of it and do your 10 new moon wishes, especially around things involving Aries. And you can look up to see what all the things that, you know, Aries rules are. If you don't have the book called New Moon Astrology by Jan Spiller, you need to get that book. And she goes into all of the details about what to wish for and how to wish for it and how to use the moon cycles in a way that's favorable for you. So then we have Mars retrograde on April 17th through June 29th. We have the full moon. We talked about the new moon in Aries, how for early degree placements that will be in the 5th house, and for the rest of you that will be in the 4th house. The full moon is happening April 21st or April 22nd, depending on where you are, what time zone you're in. And most of you are going to experience that in the 11th house. So fullness, completion, coming to fruition, recognition, drama, possibly all of the above, for better and worse, will happen centered around the sign of Scorpio in the house of Aquarius. Scorpio energy has to do with shared finances, marriage, which for many people have an understanding of legal marriage as a financial agreement. You know, you don't have to be legally married to be committed to somebody, but when you are legally married, you're financially committed to them because you're become responsible for what they do. And that energy of financial and other entrenchments rule is what Scorpio rules. So spousal money, inheritances, family money, credit, debt, any kind of loans, student loans, home loans, credit cards, things like that. All of that is all potential for some fullness, completion, fruition, something coming up. That's for everybody because that's the sign that it's in. Now, the house that it's in, specific for Sagittarius, is Aquarius. So this has to do with your friends, your social circles, groups, humanitarian efforts, organizations, teams. If you're involved with a group, there could be something that goes on there. If you are part of a team, if you're part of an organization, something can go on there. Or it can just be something that happens to an acquaintance or to a friend. There could be friend drama that occurs here. And many of you are going to experience it that way, where there's just something that's been brewing either on your end or a friend's end, and it comes to a head. And it should be noted that when Mars is in retrograde or when we're in the shadow strong like this, it's not the time to stir the pot. Most people are going to be on edge in a lot of ways because most people are not, unfortunately, watching my video to tell them the things that are good to do when Mars is in retrograde and how you deal with this energy, which you can see more of in that video on my channel. But in any case, people are walking around with this frustration level from Mars being in retrograde. And my goal for you is to convert the keynote of Mars retrograde, which is frustration, 2 keynotes, frustration and anger. Convert those keynotes into raw potential, fueling, authentic movement forward within yourself. Okay, you can work on stuff within yourself. Absolutely. That's different than launching things in the tangible realms, you know. But you have this chance to be comfortably productive when Mars is in retrograde. If you don't push things that aren't flowing, if you make your list and narrow it down and really question what has to be done, and then do those things, and then breathe as things come up, and then do inner work to address the anger and frustration that may come up, then you can be comfortably productive and in your 5th house bliss of creativity and happiness and fun. Sagittarius in particular are more prone to sublimate frustrations and annoyances because we have happy faces and we want to be happy, and that's how energy moves through us. We're optimistic, we're looking at the glass half full, and I think it's a beautiful thing, and I love it, and I love to surround myself by Sag energy, and I do surround myself by Sag energy, besides my own 9 placements that I have. However, something that is not beneficial to us or even to other people around us that we do is we get pissed off about things, decide to have a good attitude about it, but the pissed offness stays in our body and erupts randomly and making us seem erratic. But it had been brewing for a while and we didn't say anything about it. We let it slide. So when Mars is in retrograde, the chance that you're going to be aggravated is increased because your awareness of your aggravations is going to be increased. I highly recommend Bach flower remedies. I have I can't tell you, my house is full of Bach flower remedies. I almost have every one of them. There's different energetic signatures to each of these Bach flower remedies, and they're perfectly safe for children, for pets. Midwives use these on newborns, on their feet. They do have alcohol in them, so I don't put those, drop them into the mouth of children. I put them on their feet or hands and things like that. They work great for pets. So there's different energies that are coming up that the Bach flower remedies can help to homeopathically balance out, basically. So you may want to look into those. You can find them on Amazon or at health food stores as well. So that full moon can bring some fullness, completion, fruition. That full moon is also coming with this Venus and Uranus making a conjunction. This brings surprises in love, beauty, money. Can also bring hastiness, can also bring impulsiveness. If this weren't happening when Mars was in retrograde and Mercury was about to be retrograde, very strong in shadow, I would be more excited about it in a way, because new things that come out of the blue with love, beauty, and money might be better indicated when Mars, the ruler of scissors, which rules hair, which rules, that part of beauty, and razors and other devices that you use for beauty things, and Mercury, which rules communication, and Mars, which rules sexual energy. If those things weren't retrograde when this happened, I'd be a little bit more excited about it. Not to say some positive things might not come through, because they may. They're surprises, and maybe they'll be good. But because they might make you act a little more hasty or impulsive than usual, I just want to put that extra caution that around that period of time, around the 22nd or so, if something comes in like a rush, an exciting thing of love, beauty, money, try to be level-headed about it and think of long-term consequences, because that might be more applicable here. So then April 28th, Mercury goes into retrograde through May 21st, and this is our month. So we've got fresh off the eclipses, news still coming in from the eclipses. We have the retrogrades in Mars and Mercury. We have these new moon and full moon energies. We've got a zesty 5th house and 4th house. So that's what's up for April. If you want help with navigating through the astrological waters, go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. There you can see my blog, my self-development tools, my personal coaching options, and my courses, including creating successful online business. I can't tell you how many people with lots of Sag energy I have in this course, because you need a little bit of assistance pulling your dreams into reality, and I can help you with that. So check it out on my website, sign up for my free email newsletter, and have a wonderful month. I'll see you next month.